been in the Philippines for 50 years now because I
Amen.
was 12 when we went over and my sister was 6.
Praise the
So
Lord.
I started teaching my first Bible Sunday school lesson when I was 12, and Becky started when she was 11. So we've been there a long
You
time.
sure have.
Been here back and forth a little bit, but mostly there. Okay. Okay. So Becky and I do not work in the same church. We do many ministries together, but we don't work in the same church. So when my father was in the Philippines, he started 4 different churches. And so 2 of them are far away from us and 2 of them are very close. So one of them is basically go down our steps and we're there. Okay.
Wow.
It's in our backyard. The other one is 4 miles away. Okay. So she's in our backyard and I'm the 4 miles away. So this is the church in our backyard. It's called Central Baptist Church under Pastor Arvin Palaganas. Okay. And then I work in La Paz Independent Baptist Church, which is 4 miles out of town and under Pastor Ian Ventura. Okay. Both of these guys, one was started out from the school mission and one started out from a street mission. So both of them grew up in the church.
Amen.
Okay, next. Then we have Sunday schools and classes. So
Oh, okay.
we're disturbing each other, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So Becky teaches them on Sundays, we're totally separate, but on other times we're together. Okay, next. This is my Sunday school class. Where I teach, it's much more country than where Becky teaches. It's the kind of place that when you were a kid, you could eat your breakfast and then go out and play all day and come back for supper. That's the kind of place it is. And her place isn't like that. Okay, next. So we don't have a class right now in the evening for the little kids, but if they come with their parent, I take them to the back of the auditorium and I teach them how to find Bible verses and how to find songbook pages because they don't know how to do either one when they start out. So I keep a paper in my Bible that has a list of verses that songs came from, like bringing the sheaves. Okay. So it would be in the Bible and then we'd look up that verse and then we would look up the song in the songbook and they would write the page number down. Next. This is Becky's younger class. This is downstairs from our house. Okay. And this is her older class. So this isn't all of them, but that's a lot of them. If you see the dog, that's our COVID baby. Okay, so she was born during COVID time. She doesn't like to be left home alone. So she has more attendance in both churches than most of the members. So, and then we have music ministry. Don't ask Becky or I to play one of these because we know how to do it. We just are not smooth at it because we don't practice a whole lot. So, but we know how to teach it at least on an elementary basis. So we teach piano, we teach recorder, we teach ukulele. Now the ukuleles cost about $20 each. So when we get these, we give them to the kids and tell them, as long as you're using it for God, and as long as you're continuing to come to church, the ukulele is yours. If one of those 2 things changes, it's mine, and I take it back. So we have classes like this in both churches. Then we do the same thing with the guitars, only the guitars cost about $40 each. Okay, then we prepare special numbers for the kids to sing. And the first one was in Becky's church, and this one's in my church. As I said, our church is more countrified than the other church. So. Then we have programs that we prepare throughout the year. This was a Christmas program. All the little kids had either a little tiny xylophone or bells or a recorder. We had ukuleles and guitars, and we had a piano player, and we played Joyful, Joyful. So our pastor told me he really liked it. He wants us to do it again. So I told all the members we were going to give them, everybody who could play something should come. And one guy said, I can't do it. And I said, I'll give you a triangle. So we have women's ministries. So in the Philippines, we usually make a sign-up sheet for special numbers for like 2 months in a row. And by the end of the first month, it's like, oh, I forgot, you do it this time, I'll do it next time. And they just keep putting it off. And by the end of the 2 months, you don't have anybody singing anymore. So Becky looked around and she said, we've got all these women in the church and nobody's singing special numbers. Let's have a women's choir. So they just practice 15 minutes after church every Sunday. This is the women of the church in La Paz, where I teach. I don't get to teach this class all the time, but when I do, we have a really good time with discussions and it's really fun. Okay, so then sometimes I take the women out to eat because, I can. This was Mother's Day. They get a whole leg of a chicken, the thigh and the drumstick, unlimited rice, and a cheap drink, and they can have a little clear soup, and that costs $4.
Wow.
So they are Baptists, so they love to eat. Okay, next. Then we have street outreaches. And a street outreach is basically where you walk around town and you see wherever there's a lot of kids, and you just stop and have a Bible story with them. It can be impromptu or it can be scheduled. So this place in particular has 50 children within hearing distance under the age of 12. So, they don't all come at the same time, but that's how densely populated some parts of the town are. Next. Okay, this is just another one. This one's in here because we wanted to show you how hot the sun is. So you notice that there's space inside the shelter for the kids, but there's no space for me and Becky. So we have to sit in the sun. And this is one of the reasons why we do not have air conditioning in our house. Because if we were to go from 75 degrees to 100 degrees, we would just die. You would be too hot. And plus the humidity is really high. So we don't have air conditioners, but I have a fan, Becky has a fan, and the dog even has a fan. So next. Now, both these last two, this picture and the last one, are from the little village where I teach. And one day, this is during COVID times. So one day we were out there teaching. We had permission to be there. Usually, at different times during COVID, we were so controlled that we had to stay in our house. And if we wanted to go out for groceries, we had to have written permission from the captain. So it was really, really strict at times. This is one of the more lenient times, and we had permission to be there, but all the children were supposed to be this far apart, and they were all supposed to be wearing face masks. But when we arrived, they were like this anyway. So if they were sick, they already infected everybody. So there was no sense in separating them at that time. So while we were starting to teach the lesson, we hear down at the street corner, police. Then we hear it over here, police. And then down the street farther, police. They were yelling a warning to everybody that the police were coming because you weren't supposed to be together. Mm-hmm. So we turned around to see what the police were doing, and all the kids disappeared. So they were all hiding behind that stone bleacher. And so they didn't want to get caught, because if you do get caught and you have COVID, they will take you away from home for 2 weeks, put you in this little cubicle, and you can bring your own mat and your own electric fan so you have something to keep warm. But it's really just a cubicle. It's not even all the way up. It's like this and has a rooftop over top of all of them. So it's not fun. And Becky and I both think we had COVID, but we didn't tell anybody. We just isolated ourselves. Okay, school supplies and food giveaways. Okay, if we give the kids something that costs real money, or even if we take them out to eat and it costs real money, they have done something in order to earn it. So they've either had really good attendance, or they brought people to church, or they've memorized a lot of verses. So that's what they have to do in order to get prizes and stuff. So this is not even half of the kids that we gave stuff to. Okay, another way that we give away is we get a grocery bag and we put a layer of rice in the bottom, then we put some canned goods in there, then some ramen noodles and maybe some cookies. And then we go around the neighborhood and say, any mother that's there on Sunday gets a free bag of groceries. And then the pastor gives a gospel message. So that's one way that we do it. Filipinos love giveaways. They will come for. Y'all know what Temu is? Okay, it's like a cheap Amazon, right? So the Philippines has one of those. It's called Lazada. And we can get these dresses for $3 each. Wow. So you see the girl in the kind of bluish dress between the two reds? Okay. I did not, they were having something like a conference or something coming up. I think this was Christmas coming up. And I thought, oh, they should all get a new dress. So I thought, I don't want to deal with it though, because each one of them had to come and pick their dress. And I said to this girl, I'm willing to pay for it. Here's my criteria. It has to be from here to here. I said, that's the only thing I care about. I said, other than that, they can pick their own. And she let them all come to her house and they all picked out their own dress. And the only thing I had to do was pay for it. The right way to do it, right? Okay, one of the main things that we do in the Philippines is school outreaches. And we teach in 5 different elementary schools. We have 40-minute classes where we walk in, we teach a Bible lesson, we walk back out. So we do that we have about 1,000 students every school year, and they get taught multiple times depending on how big their school is. Okay, I'm showing this picture because it shows so many children in the classroom. Philippines does not have substitute teachers. So if a lady's going to be out on pregnancy leave or off on sports things for other students, they just divide her class up, and then the other classes have to have 50 in them while she's gone. So you never know what you're getting into when you walk into the room, if there's going to be 35 or if there's going to be 50. Okay, so this is another classroom. I'm just showing you a few of the classrooms that we teach in. Okay, you see the 2 sweaty people in the middle? It's me and Becky. We don't teach in the same room. We're in different rooms, but she finished early and came over to my room, so we had a picture taken. And the reason we're so sweaty is because the schools don't have air conditioning either. So they did try to move the schedule to match America so that the rich people could take vacations and stuff, but it just didn't work out because that put the kids in the school at the hottest time of year, and teachers and kids were both fainting because they were so hot. And you see this classroom, how happy they are and smiling. That's because they have air conditioning. Okay, so what you have to do in order to get into the air conditioning area is to be the brightest in the class. So if you're the brightest in the class, they'll transfer you into the special section, and then you start in 1st grade and go all the way up. Oh, wow. So, okay, then we have VBS in the church and in the streets. This is the church where I teach out in the country. When we do this, we do work together on this. Becky's better in the language than I am. Let me point out that most Filipinos can speak 3 different languages at least. Okay, they start out with their local language, which is what you would speak in your house or to your friends. Then they have a national language, which is Tagalog, and that would be spoken over the whole Philippines, although some people don't like it. But and then they teach English in school. So by the time they're this big, they have a pretty good understanding. So anyway, we divide the class, the amount of people up into how many we think we can handle in one classroom. It might be 3 classes, it might be 4 classes, or even 2 if it's small. So Becky teaches in this class, so she'll teach here, and then she'll teach there, and then she'll teach here, and then she'll teach here. Oh, the same lesson, only in different levels. Okay, next. And then I follow her with the craft class. So And then somebody else follows with the music class and somebody else follows with the games. So next. This is the craft that we like the most. It comes from Lazada, the cheap Amazon. And we can get like 12 of these for $1. So what you do is you peel off the parts that you want blue, you sprinkle blue sand on it, and then shake it off. And then you peel off the parts you want green, sprinkle sand on it, and shake it off. So this is very little preparation on our part. The only thing we have to do is throw away the ugly fairies that come with it. Okay, next. Beads are our next favorite because they don't require a lot of preparation. Every year we do a lizard about this big because they want to do it. They want to put it on their backpack. Okay, so next. And this is the craft that we hate because we have to cut out every single letter and you never know how many kids are going to come. So you have to be prepared for a lot. So we had extras left over last year. And so now when we go back, we'll have a craft that says love. Then we'll have another craft that says hope and another craft that says faith so that we don't waste anything. Okay, this is John Well. Okay, now when we go to teach in VBS in the place where I teach, we have to drive 4 miles from our house to the church. So I drive a straight line to the church. Becky gets out at the corner and she goes into the church and starts getting everything prepared. While I go over and drive around the little village and pick up kids. So John Well is one of the first ones that I pick up. And when I got to his house, he was in the front yard taking a bath. There's a well right there and he's just taking a bath. He was all soaked up. And I looked at him and his little sisters got in the car and I looked at him and I said, you'll just have to follow. And that means that he'll have a 10-minute walk to get to church. Well, I take off and I hear giggling in the back of the car. So I look in my mirror to see what was funny. And here's John Well running full tilt out behind me, stark naked. He thrown one more bucket over his head, grabbed his slippers and his shorts, and he was running out behind me. And now I have a dilemma. Do I pick up the naked boy? Or do I let him streak through town behind me? So I picked him up and he was dressed in 2 seconds. So he didn't want to be left out of anything. Okay, then we also tried to have a VBS for the adults this last year. It worked out really well. So we had VBS for the kids in the morning and then just one night only we had it for the adults. And it worked out really well. They had a craft, they had singing, they had a Bible lesson from the pastor, and then they had, the only difference between the two was that the adults had a meal and the kids had a snack. So I hope that we keep this tradition up. I really liked it. Okay, this is VBS in the other church, but I'm not going to show you more slides of crafts and whatever. So this is a street VBS. It's just like the street outreaches, except that we go 4 days a week. So, and we can do 4 of these in one day. So 4 days of the week, and we do 4 every day, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And you see our dog is there with us too. She likes to go anywhere that she can. Okay, so we teach like that. And another way that we give away things is when we have these street outreaches, we might have a craft that requires colored pencils. So every person will have their own pack of colored pencils, and when they're done with their craft, they get to keep it. Another thing might be paints, because these are things that they need in school, but not every day. So some of the parents don't want to buy it because it's just like an every once in a while thing. So it might be colored pencils, paints, or scissors, things that's not everyday use, but you do need. So the parents appreciate that we give them the things that they don't want to buy. Okay, this is another street VBS. You notice that there's like 3 mothers down at the end and 1 mother on this end. The mothers like to listen as well. And sometimes you have to tell the mothers, yes, that's right, but let's let the children answer because they want to show that they were listening to everything and they answered too much. Okay, next. So basically a street outreach or a VBS outreach would be anywhere where there's a lot of kids and a little bit of shade. And we always end with a bunch of donuts. So these two are like 12 or 14 for $1. So they basically get as many donuts as they can eat. And they're actually good. Okay, we're going to skip that. Okay, other activities. Okay, I like to keep some of the activities very cheap so that we can do more of them. It would be good if it could be free, but there's nothing ever free because Filipinos have to have a snack for everything they do. So, so these are the kids from the country church, and we'll just get in the car and drive to town and go to this little playground that's in front of the Capitol building. So they have to have a snack though. So fortunately for me, there's a street vendor place right next door. So all I have to do is give each of the kids 50 cents and they can buy their own snack. The only thing I have to do is watch out that they don't get run over because they don't know how to cross the street. Okay. Then it's very, very hot there. As I was telling some of you, it's not hot in America ever. So it's hot there. So swimming is a favorite for them. And the swimming pools don't care what you wear. So I just tell them you have to wear shorts and a t-shirt. Okay. When I was having cancer last year, they didn't have radiation treatments in the town that we live in. So I had to go away for 2 months to get my radiation treatments. So while I was gone, Becky had all her older girls up into our house and they baked cookies and whatever. So this is special to them because they don't have ovens in their homes. Most Filipinos do not have ovens in their homes. They have like a 2-gas burner thing and with a wire that goes down to the gas tank. Or they might have some clay contraption that you can put firewood or coals in and they cook that way. So those are the 2 main types of cooking. So Becky had one of her girls come back the next week and she said, my father said I had permission to stay after every Sunday if we're going to bake because he liked the goods that he got. Okay, y'all know what a progressive dinner is? Okay, this is progressive tract passing out. Okay, so they start at the church, they walk to one member's house passing out tracts. She gives them a drink. Then they walk to the next member's house passing out tracts. She gives them a popsicle. Then you walk to the next member's house passing out, and she might give you a cookie. So they give you a little snack at each place that you go to. And since the houses are so close together, you can cover a lot of people in that amount of time. And you just basically keep on walking until everyone's exhausted or dehydrated. Yeah. Okay, and we try to teach the kids that going to church is not just sitting in a pew. You should do something back for God as well. So we give them little odd jobs around the church to keep them busy. Okay, next. During the summertime, I like to meet with my kids 2 times a week that is not church times. So on Tuesdays, we play games. We have little American toys. You guys collected some for us. Thank you for that. So they like to play with little American toys. And on Thursdays, we have cleaning day. So some of the things that the kids will do, they floor wax the whole entire church right before we left on their hands and knees. And I didn't have to do that. My job was to keep the red floor wax off the white walls with 15 kids doing it. So, but one day I went to church and they said, let's not have a play day next week. Let's have a cleaning day, 2 cleaning days. And I said, really? And they said, yes. I said, why? And it was because they wanted to go out and climb the sand dune. And because every time they finish cleaning, I take them out just a short way out of town. And they climb the sand mountain and play up there. And then we have a snack. And they just think that's the greatest thing. I can tell you, that's not fun for me, especially when I had chemo. That was not fun. But they wanted to do it and they dragged me up the mountain. So if you look closely, you can see that there's ocean all the way out there. So La Paz is situated with ocean on one side, a river on the other side. Then you have sand dunes, and then you have a road going back to town. So it's very countrified, and many of their parents fish. Okay. Like I said, that if I take the kids out for something that really costs money, then they have done something for it. On this particular day, it was right before school started, and I took out the ones with really good attendance and took them to a store, gave them $4 each, and told them you can buy whatever you want as long as it's a school supply. And boy, they had fun with that. They were buying all kinds of things. They were buying things that their parents wouldn't buy for them, like sticky notes and special ball pens, things that were more, yeah. Okay. So, and I had to really work on my math skills that day because it was like, do I have enough for this? With like 10 things in their hand, and I have to add them all up, and then they would put something back and get something else. How about now? And that was just, I finally took a calculator off the shelf and told them, figure it up yourself. So, and after that, we went to McDonald's. So they're eating spaghetti, fried chicken, French fries, and a Coke. Okay, and that costs $4. So it's much cheaper there. Of course, they don't get paid near as much as you get paid here. So it's cheaper there. And some of these kids, even though they don't have much money themselves, will spend like 70 cents, which is a lot to them. 70 cents to get extra rice, to buy a rice to go with that. Because even though they're eating spaghetti, fried chicken, French fries, and a Coke, that's a snack. Because they don't have rice with it. If they have rice with it, that's a meal. Okay. You can actually buy them a Big Mac meal and they would think that was a snack because they did not have rice with it. And when they eat rice, it's not this, they want this. Okay. The next. This is an older group that we took for the same reasons. And though we feed the children and sometimes the adults almost constantly, it seems like, we have to remember that we're not there to feed them physically. We're there to feed them spiritually. And that's what we try to do. And that's me and Becky in the Philippines.
Amen.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure. Okay, we're going to sing another song.